And this is one more show of the Hot Seat. Before we started and I introduce our guest today, I want to remind you that we taped it yesterday, the table topics. And yesterday, me and John, Sylvia, we talked about the recall. We talked about the national news, the shutdown, and much more. So please look for the new and first show of the year. Should be on Facebook and YouTube channel, but you can also watch it here on Channel 95. Today we are taping the Hot Seat. You remember the Hot Seat is that show that you're going to see a familiar face. A face that you recognize, but you probably don't know much about themselves. So today you're gonna learn more about our guests. And tomorrow I'll be here taping again our Portuguese show. My co-host Linda Pereira in Portuguese. We're gonna be taping Amigos, and God knows what we're going to talk about and what Linda feels like talking about for the first show of the year. For this first show of the year, Table Topics, with me is my friend Patrick? Christopher. And I would like to introduce to you, it's not a new face on the community, he's been around. But I want to give you a couple of minutes just to introduce yourself and talk us a little bit about you.
My name's Christopher Peckham, born and raised city of Fall River, 35 years old, 3 kids, ages, my son will be 15 this weekend. My daughter's 13 and I got a little one that's 9. Worked in law enforcement my entire life, pretty much right out of high school, over the past 16 years or so. And I like to be involved in the community.
And you missed a good thing, a Flint boy.
Yes. Grew up in the Watuppa Heights neighborhood of the city until I was 11, and moved to the Flint right around the age of 11, and just recently moved out of there. Last year I moved to the Lower Highlands.
I bet you have plenty of stories to tell about your days.
Many.
Growing up on the Flint.
Yes. Yes. All the Flint kids have plenty of stories.
And you're from Portuguese?
I am. I'm Portuguese, Irish, and Brazilian. My grandmother, full-blooded Portuguese. Her family came from St. Michael's. My father's side of the family, that would be his mother. His father was Irish. His descendants from Ireland. And on my mom's side, her maiden name was Paulo, also from St. Michael's. And my grandfather was full-blooded Portuguese, and my grandmother was half Portuguese, half Irish. My mom's biological father was Portuguese and Brazilian. His father was born in Brazil.
So you growing up was plenty of Portuguese sweets and
oh yeah, yeah. But in Fall River, you don't have to be Portuguese to grow up with Portuguese sweets.
Any nicknames?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
They call me Peck.
Peck?
Yeah, my last name's Peckham. Working for the prison system. My Uncle Billy worked for the prison system for almost 30 years, and they called him Peck. So when I came into the system, I inherited his nickname, so they called me Peck.
Do you remember any time that you were not happy with your name, that you want to change your name?
No.
No?
Very, very proud of my last name. Yeah, never once.
accomplishments. I mean, I know you just accomplished a huge thing this week,
Okay.
right? So if you want to talk about accomplishments, anything that comes to your mind that you like the viewers to know about they don't know?
Well, outside of the toy drive, I am very proud of that. I was able to help out the kids with the Christmas gifts. And outside of that, it would obviously be my children. I have 3 beautiful, beautiful kids. And as a matter of fact, my oldest daughter just skipped 8th grade and went directly into her freshman year of high school, National Honor Society. She goes into school on the weekends to be a mentor. I can't solely take responsibility for that. I am divorced, and my ex-wife's a great mom and she's very, very involved with them. And I give her, obviously, a great part of the credit for how successful my children are. Outside of that, work-wise, I became an FBI certified hostage negotiator. And I work also, besides working for the Department of Correction, I work for a private police training company. And it started off teaching police officers how to speak to people in crisis because of me being a negotiator. And that spiraled into roughly 8 or 9 other classes that I've written to teach cops all across the Commonwealth. One of them being an opiate addiction class on how to kind of inform police officers how to speak to addicts and the families and not look at the family as the addict themselves. And I like to think of that as an accomplishment as well, because there's not too many classes like that that exist.
And like you just introduced your profession, sounds complicated. Sounds like it's not used that much, and that's a wrong idea, right?
The hostage negotiations, it's used all the time. In not so much like you would see on TV or in the movies.
Yeah, that's what my mind went. You know, a
And I
guy
have-
inside the building and the guy outside. You know,
We do prepare for that. When I was on the active hostage team for the department, which I no longer am, I resigned to take on the private police training company. I resigned from the hostage team to concentrate on the training. And we did do a lot of active training for that circumstance, where you would drop the phone and run the line and the SWAT teams outside.
Yeah.
We did all that. Where I use a lot of my negotiation skills in the prison system is building rapport. So if we have an inmate that is having an issue, and just to give you a brief scenario, refusing to come out of his cell, I like to build a rapport with the guy first. That way, when I go to the door and I speak to the individual, I know how to talk to him to try to bring him down. Because a lot of times the inmates they're flying high, for lack of a better word. And I've been trained to kind of bring them down and hopefully comply. So that's where the negotiations are used a lot more, is in that setting.
If I had to write a book or make a movie about your life,
Oh, man.
what's the title that you like to put it?
That's a good one. Everybody makes mistakes and keep trucking along. I've made my share of mistakes over the course of my life. Like you mentioned, I grew up in the Flint. You know, nobody's perfect, but you keep moving forward.
And just because you are from the Flint doesn't mean that you cannot succeed in life.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I grew up with plenty of kids from the Flint neighborhood that are very successful today. Kids that I still keep in contact with all of the time. The thing with the Flint is kids that grew up in the Flint, like every other section of the city, you had your Niagara area, which I grew up in initially before moving to the Flint. Everybody was proud of where they came from, the neighborhood. I remember, and I'm not that old, I'm only going to be 36, but I remember you had the church that you went to. That was your neighborhood church. everything was a lot more tight-knit back then. That's the way I see it today.
And the groups, I think, were protected.
Very.
They will protect
of their
the
neighborhood.
neighborhood. They will protect the others. So
Yes, absolutely.
And sometimes they get themselves in trouble because they're not the police officer.
No, no. But again, that's where we go back to you make mistakes growing up. You know what I'm saying? And you learn from them. You learn from your mistakes.
What comes to food? What do you like to eat?
My favorite food? I'm not a sweets guy. Never have been. Don't know why. Where'd we go the other night? Caldera's. I'm a Portuguese steak plate guy. So I got to try to find my favorite Portuguese steak plate. Caravella still takes the top for me.
Yeah.
Caldera's is a close second though. Outside of that, Italian. I love Italian food as well.
So a lot of pasta and
yeah. Maybe too much sometimes.
Movie, best movie.
A Bronx Tale. It's my all-time favorite.
And any favorite actor?
I have two. Will Ferrell being one. I just like his dry humor. And Jason Statham.
Very good, very good. Color?
Blue.
Dark blue.
Any type of blue. I actually brought a phone case to work, and it was teal blue, and the guys were picking on me because of the color of my phone case.
Do you hate anything?
Word hate strong, more dislike. Yeah, racial issues bother me. I don't like Divide. I guess it would border hating the issue. But that's about it. I'm not one to hate. I'm very, not so much passive because of the job that I do. Understanding would be a better word for it. But when it comes to that issue, I'm not understanding at all.
Afraid?
Yeah, I have to be.
Of?
In my line of work, you have to have some fear. It keeps you cautious of your surroundings. If I went to work and said I wasn't afraid to go and step inside, I started at Walpole and went to the Supermax up in Shirley, Sousa Baranowski. And if I was to say that I wasn't afraid to step in that building, I'd be lying, because you have to be. You have to be afraid to be in there. Not so much afraid, but have some type of fear, because it keeps you vigilant. It keeps you alert.
So that becomes part of the job. Becomes
Yes.
a tool. Becomes a tool on your box.
Of course. And unfortunately, sometimes you bring that home, and you're very cautious of your surroundings outside of work, because you have to do it every day. And after 16 years of being in this type of this line of work, sometimes you carry it home. So I'm very cautious of my surroundings outside of work as well.
That makes you not trusty, not to trust people?
I'd be lying if I said that I am a little less trusting initially. I like to learn about people. It is tough. And most guys that work in my profession, I speak to thousands of police officers all across Massachusetts in my outside job teaching. And they say the same thing, that once you get in this line of work and you pick up the traits that it teaches you, it does change you a little bit on the outside. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. For instance, I know it's cliche, but if I go to a restaurant to eat, I have to sit and face the door. I can never have the door behind me. I always have to be conscious of my surroundings. If I bring my daughter to a movie, I make sure I know where the exits are. That just all stems from the line of work that I'm in.
Don't you think that every person should be that cautious, especially the days that we're going through now?
Yes. I really, really do feel that way. just for your own personal safety. Not that everybody has to live in a constant state of fear, because that's silly. Go out, enjoy your life, live your life, but be cognizant of your surroundings. Be aware of where the fire exits are. Be aware of when you're leaving your house, who's around your neighborhood. Being that you live in the Flint or wherever in the city, you get to know your area. And if something doesn't fit, if you got a guy out in front of your house that you've never seen before, be cautious of it.
And I think for some people, that comes natural. You're doing so natural, because sometimes I go to places that I look around, you know, and my wife thinks that I'm looking to other people or whatever. No, I'm actually seeing the X-ray of where I am, you know, and that makes perfect sense. I make this question, and some people have questions about, if you have to lose, where do you prefer to lose, the phone or your wallet?
My wallet, 100%. There's no money in it. I got a debit card. I can easily cancel that. But my phone has so many things in it. Important things, pictures and pictures of my kids, videos of my kids, pictures of my parents. For instance, my grandmother just passed away, and I have pictures in there with her that.
Yeah, this is very recent.
Yeah, she passed away last Monday.
Last Monday.
Yes. So
my condolence.
Thank you. There's pictures of her in there. So yeah, my wallet. I would throw my wallet in the trash before I would get rid of my phone. So.
And it's so funny, because if this question was asked just 10 years ago, people will freak out just saying that they were going to throw a wallet away.
Yeah.
You know?
And half the wallets now have the debit card with the chip that never works.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have it. You can have the debit card.
And everything is moving so fast that I just watched it on the news yesterday that people actually have chips now. They put chips to purchase stuff on the machines. They have the credit card right on the inside the skin. It's a chip, and they just point at the machine and they pay the stuff.
I think I'd rather use my debit card.
You're not afraid of needles, like?
No.
Because you have a few tattoos.
I do.
Should I say a few?
I have many. Every single one has a meaning. I won't get one unless it does.
Yeah.
But I'm big into, I'm a big history and art guy. I actually have a little bit of an art collection. A buddy of mine's an artist in the city. I commissioned a piece from him. I've just always been into art. So when I started getting tattoos, I made sure that every single one of them had a meaning. Some of them are religious pieces. I am a religious person, and others are law enforcement related. For instance, I have the Twin Towers tattooed on my leg in tribute. I got it done probably the week after 9/11, and several other pieces again with meaning. Family members that have passed away.
Did you ever regretted one of them?
Yeah. I'm an honest person, so you ask me a question, I got to answer.
Ever thought about replace them?
I already did.
Oh, you did?
I did. My ex-wife's name tattooed on my shin.
Oh, yeah?
Not that it was a bad thing at the time, but sometimes things don't work. So I got it covered, and life goes on.
My youngest one, my youngest daughter, she's doing the sleeve too. And one day she came very proud, and she put her mother's name right here. And I was like, you know, you're stuck with that name now forever. And she's like, I will never change it. I will never. This is a name that I will never remove it. So
You only got one mom. My whole upper left arm is dedicated to my grandmother, who passed away in '94, my father's mom. And my next one will obviously be for my grandmother that I lost last week.
I don't know why we have parents, but our grandparents they are the columns that hold the house.
Yes.
You know, and
Yep.
and I remember when my great grandparents passed away, my father's grandparents passed away. I was 18, so I had plenty of time to know them, and I'm so happy that I was able to meet my great grandparents. You know, and it's people with the capacity, with the mentality that, you know, for today's age, it's like unbelievable.
Yeah, the way I look at that is I totally agree with you. I love my parents to death. I've grown up my whole life trying to be just like my father. And if he is that good, where did he learn that from? He learned it from his parents. So what better source to go to than the original? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I was lucky enough. Both of my grandmothers I was very, very, very close to. So
And felt good always, the food.
yes.
Because you never leave the house hungry, you know. Did you eat? No. Vavo's gonna make something,
Oh, yeah.
you know. And so I remember all that. You know, what are you doing tonight? Do you have money for movies? You know?
My grandmother just passed. She every year for my birthday and Christmas. I said earlier that I didn't like sweets, but I do like one, and it's chocolate cream pie. So every year for my birthday and Christmas, she would make me a chocolate cream pie. And it's kind of disheartening because February is my birthday, so it'll probably be one of the first birthdays and I'm not going to get my pie, but...
Yeah, my grandmother was the sweet rice.
Yeah.
She would make a sweet rice that I never tasted again. You know, and when they're gone, that's it, it's gone.
Well, luckily my other grandmother passed along her Portuguese stuffing recipe to my mom. My mom was the only one to get it. So every year for the holidays, my mom makes it. I get it once or twice a year. So.
Singing. Do you sing?
Yeah, I do actually.
In the shower? Because really, that's what men sing.
I'm not gonna sing here, but I do. I'm an Elvis fan, and I was lucky enough. My father, both of my uncles, I'm all big Elvis fans, and they, believe it or not, have some pretty good voices. And not that I don't know, a professional singer by any means, but I do like to sing Elvis here and there.
That's good.
And I will do it at karaoke, and I think I do a good job.
That's good. And favorite singer?
Outside of Elvis, I love Elvis, but
so
no.
do you remember Elvis at all?
No, I was
Because
born after he passed 77. Yeah.
So.
I think just hearing it from my family my entire life, I picked up on it, and I became a big Elvis fan.
Any favorite drink?
Diet Coke. Either Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi.
Really?
Well, up until recently, I competed in bodybuilding for quite a few years, and I was constantly dieting. And the only sweet thing I could have...
Because that's sweet, and
yeah,
that's why they say stay away from soda.
Yeah. The only thing I could have that would fit into my diet while I was bodybuilding was the Diet Coke or the Diet Pepsi. So I'd have one a day during my diet. So.
Favorite ice cream?
Somerset Creamery.
Yeah.
And it's the Coffee Heath.
Wow. Breakfast, anything special for breakfast? I'm just preparing your friends, so when they invite you, they already can order for you.
If you were to look at my Facebook page, like I just mentioned, especially when I was bodybuilding, I would have some epic breakfasts, and there's a lot of people on my Facebook page that can attest to that. I would fill up the entire counter at Rogers with just about everything.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not so much a sweets guy, but when it comes to Whole Foods, carbs, French toast, I'll eat any of it.
We have about 5 minutes left from the show, and I want to dedicate a few minutes to talk about your decision to run for city council.
Okay.
This is not, this show, it's not about politics, but a person like you, with your background, with your job, the question comes, and that's a question you're going to have all the time. Why politics?
It's not so much the politics. I don't want to be a politician. This is my city, okay? I've mentioned in the past, I have brothers that deal with addiction, okay? And that was kind of a push for me to do this. The other aspect of it is the safety of the city. There is a decline. Growing up here and living here my entire life, you can't pull the wool over my eyes. There's been a decline in the safety of the city, with no fault to the police department. The police department does an outstanding job in this city. I've worked with them directly. Those are my two major issues. I'm not looking to be a politician. I'm looking to be a voice with some background on specific issues, one being the opiate addiction issue, the other one being the public safety issue, and giving my best advice to try to push the city in a positive direction in that light. I feel that I have some really good ideas that may be able to help.
Because you know that it's going to be a full plate.
Yes.
And this is just a couple of pieces.
Yeah, those are my
on your plate.
Those are my two strong points. But trust me when I tell you, I am not afraid to speak. If I have a feeling on a topic, I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. But in a manner where everybody has to work together, for lack of a better term. I am open to everybody's opinions. The only way things are going to get done is if you bring all those opinions together and find the best reasonable outcome. And that's how I look at things.
And it's your opinion that we should start from scratch, or we could recycle some?
As far as?
City councils?
To each their own. I just want to go in there. Honestly, I've said this from jump. Whoever the mayor is, if I'm elected, whoever the other city councilors are, if I'm elected, we need to sit and work together. The banter and the rhetoric, there is no need for any of that. It's everybody has to come together as a team and find what the best interest of Fall River is. That's just how I look at it. You have to work together. This isn't a one-person show.
So you are one of those, just like me, that have opportunity to travel and can live anywhere. We can live anywhere, but we give up. We are strongly not want to leave the city.
No.
We don't want to give up. We still see the potential on this city that when everybody, it's easy just to pack and leave, but you're not going to resolve the problem.
No.
It's not you leaving that's going to resolve the problem. The problem is going to stay here.
Yeah.
So you think that we still can fix it?
Of course. Of course. This city is still full of people with hard-working values. My mom still, at 59 years old, gets up every single day at 5 o'clock or 5:30 and gets ready to go to work. My father was, up until his retirement, employed by the city of Fall River, worked for the DPW doing road work. I, for the most part, come from a family that's very hardworking. So
And we believe in Fall River.
We do. I got it tattooed on my wrist and the Braga Bridge tattooed on the back of my arm. So it's tough for me to live anywhere else.
Very good. I want to thank you for accepting my invitation. And we're done for one more show. Half an hour went fast. And I promise to come back next week with one more guest on the hot seat.
Thank you, Carlos.